So just what's your name for the audience?
Ashley?
Awesome. So we'll just get straight into the questions. If you wouldn't mind just telling me about your childhood.
I really don't know. I really don't remember that much about my childhood. Um, parts I do remember, I parts I do remember were fun. I remember like being 10, 11 years old, having best friends that I could always run to and um, just do wild things with. We lived in a neighborhood that it was safe to do that. So I remember like waking up at 9 o'clock in the morning during the summer and run straight outside, and we would be outside all day, and we would only come inside to eat or use the bathroom at somebody's house, you know. Um, Younger than that, I really don't recall much.
What general feeling do you have with the childhood that you did remember?
Um, Fear.
Did you have any dreams as a child?
Yes,
What were
I I wanted to be an astronomer. I remember always looking up at the stars. Um, I remember specific instances where we would be in the car and I would just look up at the sky and dream. I wanted to be a writer. There's so much I wanted to be. I wanted to be a writer, a photographer, a counselor. Yeah.
Can you tell me about your relationship with your dad or the closest figure to that?
My biological dad was not around. He was, or probably still is, a truck driver, and he drove, from state to state, and really never um, made roots uh, in one spot. And when he did, even then he would, like, he was married twice, and both times he still like had children on his wives, and I'm one of them.
What feeling do you associate with him?
Right now, forgiveness. My dad is sick, whether he knows it or not. And at first, I was upset, because it's like, how can you do this to your kid? Because my dad has 14 other children across the country. And there were some of my brothers and sisters that I knew of that he would visit more often. So, there was jealousy and I was upset with him, and I was even upset with my mom because I felt like she played a part in him not seeing me as often. But right now, it's just forgiveness. I don't have a desire to have a relationship with him, only because I feel as though it would be detrimental to my mental health because he still is living in an active addiction. Um, but I forgive him and I wish him well.
What about your relationship with your mom?
Um, Complicated. The relationship with my mom is definitely complicated. Um, but in saying that, I'm number 9 of 10 children. And I don't think anyone can be prepared to raise 10 children on their own. And I have 3 of my own, and I find myself doing things that she did or saying things that she said when we were growing up. And not because I want to, but because of like the pressure. Like it's hard. Um, so it's complicated. Like we're we've had conversations where we've like ironed things out and straightened things out that we both misunderstood about each other. But as a kid, I definitely felt like unloved.
What would you say you learned from them?
My parents,
Yeah, it could be anything.
um,
Or maybe nothing at all. It could be what not to do.
I definitely learned that I, from, I learned to embrace change because my dad is still living the life that he was living when I was 10 years old. My mom is kind of still living the life that she was living when I was that age. And I think it's because when we're faced with obstacles in life, the our instinct would want us to stay where we are because it's so hard to move forward. Because it requires us to look in the mirror, the ugly things about ourselves, and say, okay, I'm ugly for this. Like this isn't good about me. Let me change this.
Can you tell me about your first love and how that felt?
My first love, his name was his name is Michael, and looking back at it, he was so bad for me. But back then, he was so cute, and he was nice, and he was so sweet, and he bought me things. We were 13. And it was funny actually how we met. We lived, me and my family, we lived in a 2-story apartment, and his best friend lived downstairs, and so. His best friend and I started dating, but we weren't like boyfriend and girlfriend. He just like showed interest that he liked me, and so one day Michael came over and we like looked at each other like, I want you and I want you, and and like we started kind of sneaking around, behind his friend's back, but then we got caught by his mom and 13-year-old, I don't know.
How did that young love feel?
It felt fresh and it felt good because I felt like when he told me that he loved me, I believed him.
Can you tell me about your first loss or heartbreak and how that felt?
My first heartbreak was Michael. Yeah. We developed a pattern of like he would always break up with me right before summer started. So the first summer, it was definitely devastating.
Who would you say first taught you love and how?
God. Because he showed me that I could still love someone that hurt me deep, real deep.
How did he show you that?
By answering when I cried out for him. When I was crying out to God, not knowing I was crying out to God. Like,
How did it feel when he answered you?
Weird. Because I didn't know at first I didn't know what it was. It almost felt too good to be true.
What's love to you now versus what it was compared to when you were a kid? How do those two different loves feel?
When I was a kid, love was, I will give you this and then you will love me. Love now is, I'm going to love you, or I'm going to forgive you. I'm going to love you. I'm going to be kind to you. I'm going to show mercy to you. And I'm going to try to be level-headed with you, no matter what you do to me.
Can you tell me about a general good day for you?
A general good day for me is when I am singing and dancing around my house. That's how I know it's a good day.
What about a bad day?
A bad day is when I'm under my blankets and I can't think about anything else but death.
How do you push through that day?
Now, I have a spiritual mentor I can call. I have family members I can call. I struggle with bipolar depression 1. And in the past 5 years, my family, because I used to hide it. I was diagnosed when I was 17 and was on and off meds up until 3 years ago. No, that's not true. I was on and off meds up until 6 years ago. And until I had a nervous breakdown at my sister's house, and I had no choice but to tell my family that I had bipolar depression 1.
How did they receive that news, which is just general mental health news? How did they receive that?
Well, my mom, she immediately took me to the hospital, and my sister, she just helped me with my kids in every way I could imagine.
Do you have any so you say you have a spiritual counselor, you're able to talk to your friends, but when you're going through the mood swing that is bipolar and you're on the downturn, what other things do you do other than talk to people who are close to you? How do you level out and let yourself know that, hey, this is just gonna part of the process?
Mm-hmm. I'll try to do self-care. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it'll take days to get out of that state. But self-care is definitely important, even if it's getting out of bed to brush my teeth. Reading a book, hugging my kids. Yeah, getting the mail, so just something to get me out of the bed. Listen to motivational speakers. I have a Bible app on my phone, and sometimes I'll just let it read it, I'll let it speak to me, because there are a lot of times that I don't even have the strength to pick up my own physical Bible. So just having it read to me definitely helps. And then slowly I'm able to come out of it.
What would you say are 2 things or people that have shaped you, good or bad?
That's 2 people that have shaped me, good or bad.
Or events, can be anything. It could just be one. If you want to just talk about one.
I would say my marriage right now. My husband and I are in the middle of a divorce, and his behavior showed me who I was, his behavior, it showed me who I was and my behavior. It was almost like looking in a mirror.
Do you want to go into more detail about that, or?
Yeah, sure. So he can be very manipulative, no secret. But then when I, started treatment and got into recovery programs, I began to see how manipulative I was, how I would, say something to try to get a reaction out of him. Like if I'm feeling unloved, I would say something or do something, instead of saying, babe, I'm feeling unloved, I would do something stupid or crazy or whatever, and 9 times out of 10 I still didn't get what I wanted. So
How does it feel reflecting just on the marriage, the divorce, and just the behavior and that?
it feels good because that means that I'm coming out of it. Right now, I feel like, who was that? I don't think it was Little Red Riding Hood. Right now, I feel like I'm in the woods. I'm in a dark forest. And 3 years ago, I was in a place, that's when the blinders were being taken off, and a lot about who my husband was and who I was it was starting to be revealed to me. And when I chose to look deeper into what was being revealed to me, I feel like that's when I took that first step into the forest. Back then, I didn't know that. But right now, I'm in the middle. And it's dark, and it's cold, and it's scary, and I don't like it. It sucks. But I've gone too far to go back. I'm so, I'm so far ahead, I can't go back. And I believe the promise that I'm going to get out of this, because there are so many situations in my life that I've been in, that dangerous situations, situations that my life should have been taken away from me. But God pulled me out of that. So it's like, if he pulled me out of that, and the steps that are being placed in front of me, they're all leading to being led out of the forest. And I feel it. It's not something I logically know. It's something that I feel. And that's amazing to say, coming from a person that's been in fear her entire life.
What's inspired you?
My kids. Definitely my kids. They're good kids. Parents may say that, but my kids are great kids. And they need me to be healthy. They deserve that.
What's been a humbling experience for you?
My husband leaving me.
Would you like to describe that feeling?
Imagine everything that you thought to be true just ripped right from under you. When he left, I saw nothing but destruction, devastation, heartbreak. I couldn't even see the heartbreak in my own kids at the time. I was that selfish. I was that self-centered. I was that ignorant to my own challenges. Like, I knew, but that really revealed how messed up I was. And I'm grateful for that, because I don't want to walk one more day in who I was a year ago. And I will do anything not to go back there.
What tools do you have in place not to go back there?
I got a whole bunch. My entire day is filled with not being a victim, not allowing my circumstances to control my decisions. From the time I wake up, I'm automatically in survival mode. Before my feet hit the floor, I meditate, I pray, I lie there for 10 minutes, and I talk to my higher power. I talk to God, and just sometimes it's like, what's up? Thanks for waking me up. Let's do this, God. Let's see where this day goes. Sometimes it's, God, I can't do this today. You're going to have to guide me. Sometimes it's just like, if I wake up, in a bad mood, like somebody got on my nerves the night before, I'll, pray for them. And like the awesome thing about my relationship with God is because he already knows me, I can be like 100% myself. So I can be like, God, oh my gosh, she got on my nerves so bad, but you already know that. So help me to not allow her to get on my nerves. Sometimes it works, sometimes it don't. But then it just grows. When it doesn't work, then it gives me another opportunity to go to him and say, okay, let's, because that means that there's something inside of me. There's something inside of me that's allowing what that person has done to bother me. And let's say smacking, chewing gum. People who smack when they chew gum. It's so annoying. But
it may not just be you.
But it's I can't let that ruin my day.
Right.
What happened to you as a kid that made you feel like it's okay? So that's between you and God.
Right.
I mean, smacking gum is like a minuscule example, but sometimes it's 95% of the time it's a lot bigger than that.
Go in your mind and think. This life event can be mental, physical, or spiritual. Tell me about a time in your life that you can relate with the word war.
When I was fighting for my life, there was a time where death sounded like such a great idea. And when you have a great idea, you think about it and you plan it and you mull over it, and it's all you can think about. But I knew that wasn't right, because if death was the plan for me, then I wouldn't have woken up that day. So I had to fight. It was a war. It was imagine battling yourself every single second of every single day.
How'd you get through that?
Actually, to go back to the question that you asked, just developing those skills, like from the moment I wake up, talking to God, I'm in recovery programs for addiction. I don't. I'm a recovering opiate addict. I was addicted to opiates, and I've been clean since 2014. And I don't. Gracefully, I don't have a problem with it. But I attend recovery meetings because I am living in an active addiction of compulsive behavior, and having obsessive thoughts. I'm addicted to my own thinking. And my life has proven that when I allow my thoughts to control what I'm doing, it always ends in destruction. So yeah, I'm in like 3 12-step programs. This 112, I'm in a codependency 12-step program, but we use the Alcoholics Anonymous Big Book as our resource, which is awesome. We've just replaced, the word, drinking and, to thinking or acting out or just whatever we struggle with. And it's so wonderful because I go to these meetings and I'm sitting in a room full of people who know exactly what I'm talking about. It may sound crazy to other people, but if like I can say, "Oh, I was thinking about my husband all day today," they'll understand why that's a bad thing. Because
And they do it. I mean, it's a community that they also have done the exact same thing, which is why it's powerful.
absolutely, and there are people in there who have been in program for 20, 30 years who can say, Ashley, I get it, and it's okay, and it's normal, and this is what we can do, or this is what we're going to do to get you through this. Church, definitely a big one. I'm a part of small groups in my church. Last year before COVID, I was in leadership. I was a part of this. I was a leader in a ministry called Freedom in Christ, where we helped people tackle. It's like a 12-step program.
Yeah.
It's
almost the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Tons of stuff. Like my family, I can, like if I'm having like problems with one of my siblings, I can call another one and just talk about it or vent, and they'll know exactly what I'm talking about because that's their sibling too. And we'll just kind of talk it out, or a lot of times they'll like provide like a different perspective because maybe they talk to that person too, and they can say, well, maybe you should think of it like this, or maybe you can approach it from this perspective, and it definitely helps with forgiveness and letting go.
So same type of question. Go in your mind and think. This life event can be mental, physical, or spiritual. Tell me about a time in your life that you can relate to the word peace.
The day that I woke up and I just felt, I don't even know how to explain it. It was like walking on clouds. Like being drenched in pure, unsaturated, unconditional love. And it was actually right after my personal Freedom in Christ appointment. And I was like that for 3 days. It was wonderful. I've never felt that good in my life. The drugs, never, it doesn't compare.
Can you tell me about a truly joyous moment in your life and how that felt?
Each time I held my babies for the first time, not saw them, because I had a C-section, so they would bring the kid to you and you'll peek at it and then they'll go clean them up. But that moment where I was left alone in the room with them and I'm holding them and I can feel their skin against my skin, and I see me. I see but when I see me and them, I see the beautiful things that I love about myself. And I can't, and I remember, with my oldest daughter, with my oldest, I remember thinking how wonderful she was gonna be and how beautiful she was gonna be. And she isn't like how I imagined. She's so much more.
Can you tell me about a truly difficult time in your life, how it felt and how you endured?
It's actually still happening, you know, like this, the divorce from my husband. I was married before, but that was different because we loved each other, but we got married because, you know, for my daughter. And so when we divorced, it was, I didn't think twice about it really. But this time, complete opposite. Sometimes it's still hard for me. Just this past Saturday was definitely one of those days where it was like, why me? Or, you know, or why can't you change him? Why can't you do this? Why can't he just be this way? But, you know, he's on his own journey. And I'm glad he's on a journey because, you know, he's sick as well. And I love him. And I want him to get better. Just not with me.
What keeps you up at night?
My future. I still haven't I haven't quite been able to let go of what I want my life to look like compared to what it's actually supposed to look like.
What keeps you going every day?
Knowing that what it's gonna actually look like is gonna be way better than what I want it to look like. It's like I want to be an author, you know, and right now I'm struggling with writing a little bit, but it's like I have this image. I really don't know how to describe it. It's really not a vision. It's not a dream. It's more like a intuition that I'm gonna rock the world.
Imagine you're in the hospital today with only hours to live. What would be your regrets?
None.
You told me what your dreams were as a kid. What are your dreams now?
I want to successfully raise my kids. That's number one. And successfully raising my kids to me means that they understand that they're loved by God unconditionally no matter what they do. Because I feel like in my life personally, that's where I struggled the most, when I felt like God had forgotten about me. And, you know, because being a parent, I want to control, you know, like, but I can't. Like they're going to have to make mistakes. They're going to have to learn. They're going to, you know, God has their journeys set for them. And then, you know, once the plan is that when my youngest is off in college, I'm going to sell whatever I own, pack my stuff, and move to Greece because I love Greece, and right from there.
You're the author of your life book. What's your picture perfect ending?
Being like 98, still looking like I'm 28, with silver hair, lying beautifully in bed, with my children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren surrounding me while I enter into the kingdom of heaven.
That's it.
That's it?